Hey everybody, Phil Goldenberg here, and today I'm going to be reviewing a couple of the guitars that came from our friends over at Augustine. They sent me these guitars and wanted me to let you guys know what I think of them. So, I've got two of these guitars. They're student-level guitars, and they're called Augustine Primas. Prima, like your first guitar, and just overall, as far as what I think about these guitars, if this is your first guitar, you are in really good shape. These are really good guitars for beginners. So, we've got two guitars, spruce and cedar. So if you're not super familiar with classical guitar construction, those are the two most common woods that are used for the top of the instrument. They have slightly different qualities. Generally, a spruce guitar will be more focused, a little bit louder, a little bit more directional, meaning that the sound will come sort of straight out, where cedar guitar is generally a little bit more diffuse, meaning it kind of is going to be less of like a laser beam, like a spruce guitar. Both of these guitars sound really nice, and they both have, for the back, real Indian rosewood. And that's sort of a selling point at guitars for lower priced guitars like these. So that brings me to the next point, which is the price point. These guitars sell for $500, and right now there's a sale going on the Augustine website. They're selling them for $350 before leading up for the Christmas break for when everybody's buying guitars. I think at this price, $500 or especially $350, this is a really good instrument. So generally what you'll find from sort of lower end factory made guitars is that the setup and the playability of the guitars is very consistent. You're not going to have too many guitars that are super difficult to play. Usually the action is a little bit low, and it's easy for beginners to play, which is perfect. I think that the Augustine Primas are just as good as any guitar in this price point as far as playability. It's very easy to play. The strings are close to the frets, so you don't have to squeeze so hard. And the right hand feels natural. It's not like an exceptionally easy instrument to play, but it's also not in any way a difficult instrument to play. It's very sort of medium. The strings that I have on this instrument are Augustine Regal Blues, and I have that on both instruments. So that's the high tension nylon strings from Augustine. And they sound really good on the instruments. It's a rich sound. On instruments that are at this price point, which is like beginner instruments, student instruments, I always like to go for higher tension strings. My thought process is that when you are buying a more expensive instrument, generally, especially if it's going to be a concert level instrument that's either like a lattice brace or a double top guitar, generally you're dealing with very thin tops, very sort of like fragile instruments that if you put too much tension on, like if you have high tension strings, it can tend to choke that instrument. Where the other way, when you're buying a less expensive instrument, the top is going to be a little bit thicker, it's going to be a little bit less nuanced, and because of that, when you put high tension strings on it, it can really drive that thicker top and really engage a lot more sound out of the instrument. Just drive a lot more sound through it. So if you get this guitar, I highly recommend putting on high tension strings. So any blue set from Augustine. So I'm going to play a little bit on this spruce guitar, and then you'll be able to hear the same thing on the cedar guitar. So here's the same thing on the cedar guitar. Okay, so for me, hearing these two instruments in real life is very different. The spruce guitar, you get a lot, as the player, you get a lot less of the sound of the instrument coming back at you. That's that directional quality that I was talking about before. What that means to me, to my ear as the player, is that it's a lot easier to play cleanly on the spruce guitar, just because you're just not hearing a lot of the little noises that are happening quite as much, because they're sort of going out. When I'm playing the cedar guitar, it feels initially louder, although I know that in reality there's probably really, from an audience perspective, no difference in the volume between these two guitars. The cedar feels a lot louder to me, just because I'm able to hear a lot more of it. That being said, I think that the spruce guitar was a little bit nicer in higher positions, and it's just a little bit clearer. There's a lot less sort of like ringing overtones, which is really nice, the ringing overtones sometimes, and it can kind of create a very beautiful sort of soupy atmosphere that your music can live in. And I feel like this guitar doesn't do that, and this guitar does do that. And that's really just a matter of preference, of whether or not you like to have all the singing extra stuff going on, or if you just want to hear your notes. That being said, I've played a lot of $1,000 instruments, and I've played a lot of instruments in the $3,500 price range, and these guitars perform pretty well comparatively. Generally, things below $1,000, there's like a lot of variability as to how these prices are set. I don't know how Augustine set these prices, but these are really good guitars for $500. So I would definitely recommend this for somebody who wants to start out playing guitar and start out on an instrument that actually sounds good. Or if you decided that you wanted to start out on that $100 guitar from the pawn shop, and you've realized that you can't actually play that thing and you need to upgrade, this is also a really good upgrade for that. Or if you're starting out on any sort of cheap model guitar and you want an initial upgrade to an instrument that you can actually like make music on, these Augustine Primas are a really good choice for that. Let me show you the case that comes with these guitars. So, some of you guys might not be too excited by this case, but this case is really, really light. It's made out of foam, and nice interior pocket. That's cool. And then the big thing is it has straps on the back. And if you have ever had to carry your guitar a lot of places, like if you're a music student, you are going to understand the value of these backpack straps, because you're always carrying more than one thing. You know, if you have to carry your guitar and a cup of coffee, then like forget it. So anybody who's looking for a teaching guitar, these are really good. The case is super light. The instrument is super light. The case has a little place where you can put sheet music, which is nice. Alright, so that's it for this review video. Please go to Augustine's website and check out the Augustine Primas. If you like this video and you want me to make more videos like this, please like and subscribe and comment below. Alright, thanks!